What's up, guys? I got some more Reddit paranormal stories for you today, so let's get right into it. First one for today is going to be I think I saw a genuine ghost. Comes from the user Morgan the Catholic. I think I genuinely saw a spirit on my street. A little background, only a few hours ago, me and my family members were discussing hauntings and the fact that we all genuinely believe in spirits and some had encountered them. Call them liars if you like, but they took it very seriously and were sure of it. Either way, as it turns out, my town has a large history of hauntings dating back to the 1700s. Everything from devil deals to haunted castles to death appearing on the town bridge to people from town claiming to have been led home at night by my 10-year dead grandfather. The most famous haunting in my town would be Sharnville Castle. More distressing is the fact the estate I live in is 100 years old and was built over an actual graveyard. Either way, I went to bed tonight and was having a smoke when I decided to look out the window as I heard a woman talking outside. She was dressed in white and had a floral umbrella. I didn't think much of it until I went to take a drag from my cigarette. For less than 2 seconds, I looked back and she vanished. Like she was legitimately in the center of the street. She wouldn't have been able to disappear from my view in such a short space of time. I kind of imagined this ghost stuff as 50-50 and I wasn't sure on it, but this has genuinely astounded me. The most interesting thing is that it doesn't even make me afraid, just really curious to learn more. Well, that was a pretty unique story. I appreciate you sharing. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Our next story is by W.S. Fender, titled, I'm Starting to Believe Since Working in a Museum's Collection Department. Howdy, board. As with many, I've always been into the paranormal, but never really believed any of it. I've sought out ways of experiencing paranormal things, but anytime I've had something, I have had a way of dismissing it, and could chalk it up to just a weird occurrence. About a year ago, though, I switched roles in the museum I work at. I've been here for 5 years, and some weird things have happened, but again, you can rule out most weird coincidences. But when I moved into the collections department, where the people who take care of objects and artifacts in the museum's possessions and loans, things got weird, really fast. Everyone talks about museums being haunted, and it's understandable. We house and care for lots of really old, sometimes creepy objects, and many of them have storied pasts. Our collection is roughly 200,000 pieces, and we have some doozies. To make it short, I have been seeing shadows, hearing my name, and having lights turn on and off when I'm alone. Our storage is split into 3 areas. The upstairs mezzanine is home to our toy and puppet collections. Downstairs has 3 connected areas split in 2 rooms. Textiles by itself, and American materials and ethnographic/world objects in the main area. And the 3rd area is in a separate part of the museum, split into 2, and houses larger objects and natural sciences. The most convincing evidence I have experienced for the existence of paranormal activity happened about a month ago, and it's really stuck with me. To set the scene, I was in our textiles room, the lower level storage, in a room off to the main area with the world objects, returning some clothing we had shown on a tour. To briefly explain the storage setup, you come down the stairs, can go left into the world objects or right and take a turn into the American materials. However, the stairs are the only thing separating the areas, so the stairwell is more like a donut hole than anything. Turning left into world objects and immediately taking another left will let you walk perpendicular to the aisles of world objects and bring you to the right side of American materials. On that right wall, looking out into the American materials, is the door into textiles. It's normal practice, like with most places, to have lights on in an area you're working. So I had lights on at the base of the stairwell, the very front of the world objects, and that illuminated enough of my path into the textiles room. Up until now, I had lights turn off, doors slam, heard my name and objects move, basic things, but stuff I could ignore, look past, or explain away. I went down the stairs into this area and was immediately overcome with panic and anxiety. The room was cold, and there was just a bad energy. I turned around, sat in my office for a couple minutes, thinking I was having a panic attack and cooling off. I decided to ignore it. I went back down, hit the lights, beelined it into the textiles room, and started putting things back into place. I felt like I was being watched the entire time. I walked through the lower level but didn't think about it and figured I was just paranoid. but I couldn't shake this feeling of paranoia. Then I left the room, and that's when it got bad. I opened the door, and I could see all the way across American Materials. The last shelving unit on the far wall from me is where we keep items from famously deceased child. The family donated all of their belongings after their passing. There weren't any lights on in that area, but I could see someone. It looked like a fully grown man, probably about 6 feet tall, and the shape was hulking. They were darker than dark. They were darker than the shadows of the room. I'm telling you guys with my oath on whatever you want that I could see this person that was darker than an unlit wall, and it sprinted. I mean, absolutely ran as fast as I've ever seen anyone run into the closest wall. Not at me, not to scare me, but sprinted to its right, which was only about 10 feet away from it, a cement wall, and he went right into it. This all took place in about 5 seconds, and I just ignored it. I just quick walked out of the storage, flipped the lights, and hauled it up the stairs. I got about halfway up the stairs when the hairs on the back of my neck stood straight up, and I heard someone say my name, and the doorknob at the base of the stairs started to turn. I didn't even stop to listen. I'm sure there's a way of explaining it. Again, I very much could have been having a panic attack, but the anxiety went away just about as soon as I walked back up the stairs for the first time. Since then, things have gotten stranger, with objects moving in front of me and other people in the department, or doors closing in front of us. Like I said, things have happened since I've been here, and there are plenty of stories of before I was in the department or at the museum. But this thing a month ago was just different. I'm only writing this now because last night I had a dream where a ghost or something was holding my mouth closed and pushing on my back, and when I woke up, it was happening too. I feel like things are just getting weirder and weirder with me, and I've been looking into shadow people or other sorts of weird apparitions. I doubt this gets much traction, but if anybody wants to chip in on any ideas as to what this might be or how to explain it, I'd love to hear any and all thoughts. Wishing my best to all of you, and we are wishing our best to all of you, buddy. Hope things start to get less spooky for you, but man, what a interesting work environment. Definitely a crazy story. Let's go ahead and get into our last story, called Strange Terrifying Experience, by user Independent Pack 506. So I work in a restaurant in Wyoming. That was where the town's original train station was located back in 1894. The original building was moved across the street, and they replaced the train station with a bigger building in 1912, which is the building that I work in now. I've been getting weird feelings since I started working there. I know the building has a lot of history, and I feel the presence of different entities there for sure. I was scared out of there a few weeks back, just from the heavy, overwhelming presence that seems to get worse when it's late and you're alone. But tonight, I was locking up the building. I went to lock the event storage space, realized one of the cooks left his bike in there, so I went to grab him to pull his bike out so I could lock. He went in, grabbed his bike, and walked out, leaving me alone in this room. I shut the door behind him and locked it. I walked through the room to the other side to turn off the light before walking through a swinging door that leads to the event dining room. As I turn the light off, I hear a raspy, disgruntled voice, loudly and clearly saying, "Mommy, Daddy," from the other side of the room. I'm not kidding you. I ran so fast out of that room, through the building, I felt like I teleported. I found the cook, and he walked through to see if anyone was in there, and there was no one. It was just us two and one more server that was in the other side of the building rolling silverware. It was a very evil-sounding voice, definitely not a child. I should not have ran like a terrified child, because now I feel like it's going to just try to scare me more next time. It felt like it was intentionally waiting for me to be alone and for me to turn the lights off. Y'all, I'm ready to quit because I'm sensitive to entities and can feel them. This just feels evil. Well, Independent Pack, I hope it gets better for you. Definitely appreciate you sharing that spooky story. And that's going to wrap it up for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you catch the next one.